Hello to all my fellow glorious Gaians. Thank you for joining me, Amber, on my channel Guidance Through Gaia, where I do tarot pick a card readings. If this is your first time here, welcome, and I hope that you find something useful today. If you are a returning viewer, thank you for giving me another chance to read your energy. Today we are going to be looking at how can you attract your ideal partner. So how we will be doing that is I will be presenting a profile of what your ideal partner would look like. Now keep in mind, this is a general reading, and so not all of the characteristics may resonate with you, but if you do find that some are applicable to your situation, then I would stick around to the reading, because after that we will look into how you can attract them, right? Like what things can you do that could bring you closer to meeting this type of person. And it could be things about you that would attract that type of person. And we will be using a mixture of oracle cards and tarot cards to get that type of advice. So we have 3 piles here today. We've got pile number 1 with the peacock oar and the term woof. We've got pile number 2 with the tiger's eye and the rainbow colored bottle of sand. We've got pile number 3 with the clear quartz and the ocean wave, and it looks like a volcano in the background. So go ahead, choose your pile or piles, and I will see you there. Bye. Hello, group number 1. If you chose the peacock oar or the sticker that says oof, then this is going to be your reading on how to attract your ideal partner. We have 2 different piles here. The pile on the left is going to be representative of your ideal partner, and even though the profile of this person may not completely match what you're looking for, if you find significant character traits or qualities or lifestyle traits that resonate with you, I would stick around. And then with pile number 2 here, we are going to be looking at how you can attract this type of person. We will also be using a tarot deck in order to get more clarification on like what kind of actions you should take. And then finally we will be getting a raise your vibration oracle card that really deals with the different chakras. We'll get a message from that to figure out like which chakra can you kind of focus on that may help you attract this type of person. So I'm going to put this pile off to the side. Now, when I look at oof, right, to me that is like somebody who is really fine, or somebody who just takes your breath away. It could also represent somebody who is like strong or able to endure a lot. Let's move this off to the side a little bit so we can get some more room. And we will take a look at the qualities of your ideal partner. So we have the card Witch's Cottage with security. We have 49, the Summoner. I ask for what I want because I deserve to get it. And then we have the card Self-Care and Integration. This is a person who is emotionally mature and stable. This is somebody who has a strong sense of self and is able to regulate their emotions, communicate effectively, and remain calm, right? Even in disputes. And, you know, we should all hope to have a partner like that, but you may be an individual who has experienced a lot of like turmoil in connections, or you've had partners who may have had insecurities and taken them out on you, been controlling, or have been very argumentative. And so you're really prioritizing somebody who is secure in themselves. They're going to have trust for you. They're not going to belittle you. They're not going to try to control you or shape you. They will accept you for who you are because they have that concept of self-worth within themselves. This is also somebody who is going to be able to handle confrontation or disagreements in a mature manner. So you don't have to feel like you're constantly on edge, right? Like this is the type of person you would be able to have conversations with. And you can trust that the both of you are approaching the situation with the intention of understanding each other and the situation better and coming to an agreement. You might actually want somebody who has like their own home. I know that is a big priority for a lot of us. You know, we're kind of in a time frame where many of us will never have a home life in terms of like being a homeowner. So you may dream of having a partner who has their own home. Somebody who is financially secure. You know, they say money can't buy happiness, and to a large degree, I really do agree with that. But having financial security really allows us to relax about a lot of things, right? Like you don't have to worry about food, you don't have to worry about rent, you don't have to worry about hospital bills, car breakdowns. Like, you know, if something comes up, it's going to be taken care of. So I think you want somebody who is financially responsible. They might have a good paying job, they might be a homeowner, because that gives you a sense of security. And, you know, in general, this is somebody that makes you feel secure because they are secure within themselves. You might have been in relationships, as we talked about, where there was a lot of high emotions, a lot of maybe fighting, disagreements, suspicion, and you're just looking for peace, right? Like you want to feel safe in a connection. You want to feel safe in your independent life. You want to feel safe in a relationship. And that's really what you're prioritizing. You're also looking for somebody who is a go-getter, somebody who has ambition, has drive. You may have previously had partners who didn't have dreams for themselves, right? Or they were always looking at things from a very pessimistic point of view, saying like, well, what can I do about it? Or everything's going wrong. And you're looking for a person who, even when difficult times arise, they're able to find solutions. This is a person who isn't going to put off paying bills. This is a person who, if they lose a job for whatever reason, they will be proactive in finding a job. This is a person who sees their own worth and potential, and they strive for their goals. Maybe some of those goals are really, you know, significant in terms of like maybe they're looking to get a PhD, or maybe they want to make a certain amount of money, or maybe they want to make significant contributions to society, you know, be published as an author or become an actor or, you know, a top leading scientist in their field. They could be smaller goals, right? Having a certain physique or creating a family, traveling to certain locations, finish, what is it, like building a shed, you know, any type of dream that they have, they are proactive about. They're not the type of person who's going to have these goals in mind and never act to pursue them. This is also somebody who is confident, right? Like they feel confident in their skills, they feel confident in their capability to achieve things, but it's not like an arrogance. This person doesn't strike me as arrogant, because remember, like we've got security here, and later we've got self-care and integration. This is a person who knows that they can achieve what they set their mind to. This is a person who is confident that whatever problem arises, they can find a solution. This is a person who isn't deterred by situations going differently. Like, they have a trust in their capabilities, but they also have enough room in their perspective to understand that sometimes things don't turn out the way that they would want to. So I would say that they're a borderline like optimist realist, right? Like this does feel like somebody who is very grounded. And even if they have big goals that some people would be like, how the hell are you ever going to achieve that? This person does like go through and analyze like what steps they would need to take in order to achieve those things, and then they can adjust them, right, if other things arise. And with self-care and integration, this is a person who doesn't need you to baby them, right? Like, you don't have to be mommy or daddy. Like, I mean, if you want to, like, those dynamics can be very fun. They can be expressed in healthy ways, but this is not the type of person who's going to rely upon you for financial security. This is not the type of person who's going to rely on you to manage their emotions. This is not the type of person who is going to rely on you for their mental health. I just want to make a side note, like, I know we talked about this person being financially secure, and you might be looking into that. That's not to say that you're looking for somebody to provide your finances either. I don't want there to seem like there's a double standard. You know, if that's a dynamic that works for you and your partner, where one person does like bring home the bread and the other person does more like domestic duties or whatever, or maybe one person has like a job outside of the home and the other person is able to like pursue their independent interests, like they're, you know, be more of an entrepreneur kind of thing. But I don't think like you're looking for somebody to necessarily baby you either, right? Anyway, to get back to this person, this is a person who takes care of themselves. Like, if they're feeling upset, they know how to calm themselves down. If they're feeling confused, they know how to figure things out. They're not lazy. They're not looking to kind of ride somebody else's coattails. Like, they are a person who's proud of what they've accomplished. And, oh good, they censored it right here because I was like, oh crap, did I miss that? While they still might want a partner who is supportive and can be there for them in difficult times, ultimately they're not dependent on other people. This is somebody who knows how to take what they've learned and put it into practice. So you might even be looking for somebody who has actively been in therapy, because Lord knows a lot of us have needed it. Life is hard, you know, whether it's we go through a job loss or we go through a difficult childhood, or we just want to learn stronger like coping techniques or communication tactics or whatever. Like, therapy can be beneficial for anyone. You might also want somebody who is more physically active. You could want somebody who works out or eats really well. Those might be things that are important to you, but ultimately this is a person who is stable in themselves and will offer you stability in the respect of like, you can take care of yourself too. You're not sitting here managing somebody else because they've already got their bases covered. So if that sounds like the type of person you are looking for, let's get into how you can attract this person. I just saw 1111. So we're going to use these oracle cards, and I think I will read from the books because they do offer like insight. But then we'll also look to, as I mentioned in the beginning of your reading, we'll look to tarot cards for some more specific information. So we've got Beltane with fertility. We've got card number 37 with the Independent. I am aware of my inner dialogue and direct it by positive imagery. And I'm going to have to cover this one. Let me get a little sticker here. We've got a card that says patience and stillness. She's got her booty out. It's a beautiful booty, but you two probably will not like that. So first and foremost, how you can embody the energy that will get you closer to meeting this person and being able to attract this person, right? I think engaging in your creativity or your passion is a huge way in which you can meet this person. You might end up meeting them through a creative or passion of yours, right? So, you know, when we're thinking creativity, we're thinking like maybe you like to write books, or maybe you like to paint, or maybe you like to act, or maybe you like to build. But even passions, right? If you're passionate about exercise and you're like, I want to run a triathlon, then do that. If you decide like you want to travel the world because you just think that's like the best thing and that's where you feel like you are the most authentic version of yourself is when you are exploring, go and do that. If volunteering is something that you are passionate, do that. we are most attractive when we are pursuing something or engaging in something that we are passionate about. And because that puts us in a position where we feel like we are in our element. And also it puts us in situations where we can meet like-minded people, right? Like we want to meet people who have similar interests or similar goals or similar values. I think this also can talk about dress in a way that makes you feel attractive. And, you know, I live in America, and so I've noticed as I've traveled, I haven't traveled a lot across the world. I've been to Japan, Norway, and Scotland so far. And I've been to most everywhere west of Minnesota. I had to do the little cardinal direction map in my mind. I've traveled everywhere, almost everywhere west of Minnesota in the United States. And I've noticed in my travels outside of the US, like style is different. How people present themselves is very different. Like when I went to Norway, people were much better groomed than we are in the United States when we're out in public. And not gonna lie, like, I mean, I'm guilty of it too. Sometimes I throw my hair up and like just a kind of my hair's kind of curly, and so if I don't wet it down and brush it in between showers or whatever, it kind of gets gnarly. You know, and I might throw on an oversized t-shirt and some leggings and, you know, whatever, no makeup, and I'm just like la-di-di-di-di. And I don't need makeup. I don't need to dress to the nines in order to be like a valued person. But I notice that when I dress up, that I feel more confident about myself. You know, when I paint my nails, I do a little bit of makeup. Doesn't have to be extreme. When I don't really know how to do any hairstyles. But when I make sure my hair is like properly hydrated and detangled, when I'm wearing a cute outfit, like I do just feel more confident about myself. And other people notice that. And even across the United States, there's a lot of variety in how people dress. Like in the Midwest, we do typically tend to be more laid back and more like jeans and t-shirt, you know. I remember when I would go to like, what was it? I've been to Las Vegas a couple of times. And maybe it's because there are a lot of tourists in Vegas. I don't know. But a lot of people just looked more dolled up. You know, more like they put a little bit more effort into their appearance. And so whatever way that you dress that makes you feel more confident about yourself, really do that. And also like with the fertility card, you know, pour in the things that are going to pour back into you and have the mindset that like you are going to receive. If we're in a mindset of like, I'm never going to find somebody or my life isn't going to work out, that really sours our temperament and it can kind of make us off-putting to other people. And sometimes we don't take opportunities that could lead us to fruitful outcomes because we think like if it's not going to happen, what's the point, right? Like, if I don't think I'm good enough for a partner, or if I don't think that I'm ever going to find a partner, why would I go out on dates? Why would I take care of my appearance? Why would I say hi to the person I think is cute at the bar? You know, whatever may have you. Then we've got the Independent with I am aware of my inner dialogue and direct it by positive imagery. So once again, we're going back to here. Reframe what you're telling yourself. Group number one, are you thinking negatively? Are you thinking like, I'm not as attractive as other people, so I'm not good enough? Or, man, I haven't accomplished as much in my life, so I'll never attract this kind of partner. Or, like, men or women are all the same. Like, I'm just tired of romance. I'm tired of love. I don't even want to give anybody a chance. Well, what happens if you reframe that? You know, notice the things you like about yourself. Go like, damn, my eyes look really good today. Or, you know what, like, this outfit looks really good on me. Or, you know, if you do skincare routines, you know, pay attention to like, oh, my skin just looks so rehydrated. Or, if you are in the process of like gaining weight or losing weight, defining muscles, whatever, like notice and compliment your own progress in that situation. Think about how, like, you know, you haven't met everyone in the world. It's easy when we've encountered similar situations repeatedly to believe that's a representation of all possibilities that will ever be available to us. But the reality is there are what, like 8 billion people in the world? And there are a variety of personalities, a variety of ideals, a variety of perspectives, a variety of dreams and hopes. You're not destined for just one kind of situation. You know, boost yourself up. Like, even outside of your romantic pursuits, like when you do something at work that you're really proud of, be like, damn, I did a good job. Like, you have to be your own hype person, okay? And even in situations where, like, if you're going out on a date and maybe you weren't feeling the vibe, right? Like, you can say, what's something about the date that I really enjoyed? I really liked that this person asked me questions about my interests. Like, they demonstrated they were invested in me. And even though I don't really feel this is a good match for me, I appreciate that about them. Or, you know, I'm happy I set a boundary, right? Like, I communicated a need, or I communicated a desire, or I communicated a boundary with this person, and regardless of how they reacted to it, I did that for myself. You know, it can be something like, I did a really good job doing my hair today, or I talked to a new person and like had a really good conversation, or someone complimented my artwork, or I got to pet a dog today, you know, in the park. You know, like, just little things. Romanticize yourself and romanticize your life, ultimately. You know, that's going to be the best way for you to kind of reframe your mentality so that you can start seeing things in a positive light, start developing like more hopeful perspectives. And with this character being identified as the independent, right? You want somebody who is not going to make you manage their success, their sense of security, their emotions. You kind of also need to embody that energy for yourself, right? You can't look for somebody to make you feel better about yourself. You can't look to somebody for providing you necessarily financial security. You can't look to somebody to manage your emotions. Like, you do have to work, if you know, on some level of your own responsibility, independence potentially. So, for instance, you know, maybe getting your own place, even if it's not a house, right? If you're living with roommates and it's feasible for you to get your own place, because I know there are parts of the world or parts of the American country where living on your own is not really feasible. But if you're able to live on your own and that's something that you want, like, find a way to make that happen, right? Or even if it's just like, let's say you live with a roommate and you start working on your home care techniques. Like, maybe your room is kind of a pit all the time and you're like, damn, I really hate this. My place is such a mess. I would never invite anybody over here. Like, start organizing and cleaning your room. Start taking initiative in your own life. If maybe you need to change jobs, or maybe you need a car, like save up to get a car. Just finding ways to exercise your independence, even just going out and doing things for yourself, right? Even if you're somebody who's like, maybe I want to go for a walk in the park today, or there's a comedian that I would love to go see. Like, taking care of your own needs and enjoying your own company and being responsible for yourself is going to help you get closer to meeting this person, and it's going to be the kind of energy that attracts them to you. And then we have patience and stillness, which I think is probably going to be the hardest part for you. It definitely is for me, right? So, and I was originally going to read the booklets after each one, but I'll get to that, I guess, after I read finish with this card. But with patience and stillness, do as exactly as it says. Meditation might be helpful, but, really sit with your feelings. Allow yourself uncertainty. You might be feeling kind of antsy or frustrated that things aren't going in a direction that you want. So how that could potentially impact meeting this person is you might meet this person and they might not be moving as quickly as what you want them to. And you get frustrated and you go, well, what the hell was this even for? Right? And meanwhile, this person is over here like, hey, I have an interest in you. If I wasn't seeing you, I wouldn't, if I wasn't interested in you, I wouldn't come see you, but I'm not trying to rush anything. Like, I know what I have to offer. I need to see the same from you. And it's best for you to do that in return as well, right? Like, you need to observe what I'm offering to you to make sure that it's really what you want. And it might be too that getting antsy, allowing that anxiety or that frustration or that anticipation to overcome you can just make you miss opportunities, right? Because sometimes when we get too antsy, we really want something to happen, we can go for something that provides us instant gratification, and we're not really focusing on finding something of quality. And you want something that's going to be of quality. You want a person that's going to offer something of quality. You don't want someone just because they're there for the minute, right? Because that's how we end up in heartbreak. That's how we end up in toxic cycles. That's how we end up in situationships, right? So let's take a little bit of advice from these booklets. We'll refer to the fertility card first, Beltane. And here it says, the energy of the cross-quarter festival Beltane surrounds you. This celebrates the god impregnating the goddess, who in mother form bursts forth, growth from spring into summer. Like the goddess of nature at this time, you are nearly in full bloom. The tiny seeds of creativity you planted earlier have developed, their shoots have sprung and are ready to blossom. This marks a very fertile time for you. A new idea or project can now be fulfilled. Your creative power is stirring within, ready to be birthed. Success will follow as you draw upon the gifts that the element of fire offers, whose rites are honored throughout the festival of Beltane. Passion, desire, confidence, and strength accompany you as you take appropriate action towards your dreams and goals. Remember, this person is also the summoner, right? I ask for what I want because I deserve to get it. So you almost kind of have to start to adopt some of these traits yourself to attract this type of partner. And then it says, explore your sexuality. Your ideas are coming to fruition. Do what you feel passionate about. Taking action will bring about desired results. Participate in a fire walk. Time to celebrate. And maybe going to some celebrations, right? Going to weddings, going to birthday parties, going to holiday events. So then let's get into the Independent. Okay, so the heart of the matter. The Independent wants you to visualize how you would like things to be, and especially to be aware of your inner dialogue about the material world and your place in it. You may have great plans, but if inside your head your thoughts are all about, I can't, or I don't have enough, or I'll never, then you are adding an almost insurmountable obstacle to accomplish your goal. Visualize what you want and then see it in your mind's eye and feel it as if you were there, experiencing it with all your senses. Also, see the problems that will naturally arise when what you visualize becomes your reality, so you can experiment with solutions you could use at that time. See, literally, and this person we talked about with this person, they have goals, but they're also adaptable because they understand sometimes things will deviate. Perform your visualization before you go to sleep and when you wake up. It requires practice to counteract the self-defeating inner dialogue that has worked against you. We can attract things in our life that we focus on, both the things we desire and those that we do not want to happen. And then with patience and stillness. Not every moment is a time of action. Sometimes doing our part to manifest our deepest desires and more blessed reality means being still, exercising patience, and awaiting further instruction from Spirit. Oh my gosh, so I just started watching the second season of the live version adaptation of Avatar: The Last Airbender. And Aang is trying to find a master of neutral Jing, which teaches him how to be patient and wait and assess before taking action, because Boomy refuses to teach him earthbending. So then he goes and he finds Toph, aka the blind bandit at that point in time, and recognizes that she has mastered neutral Jing. You know, I love the original series, and honestly, I do enjoy this live adaptation. Like, I do really. It's in stillness that you can most easily see what is meant for you and live in a state of fully present-mindedness. It is where you are best able to step into open-ended imaginations, creativity, and resourceful thinking. When you are preoccupied and constantly going, you can miss valuable opportunities and lessons that you need to experience before you can progress. What was I talking about? Literally. Taking yourself out of the present and trying to rush into the future can actually delay your desires from occurring. Your prayers and visions are manifesting more quickly than you can see, and your guides are asking you to bring your attention to this moment, right here, right now, to gather more information and receive deeper insights that will propel you forward. Be chill, babe. It's all coming together. The affirmation is, I comfortably rest in patient stillness so that I can more easily know and experience what Spirit has in store for me. I trust that my prayers are manifesting even when I allow myself to rest. You might be thinking, like, girl, if I'm not doing anything, then nothing's happening. Like, if there's no action occurring at this point in time, it's not coming. And I'm here to tell you, that's not always true. It's not. Sometimes we just gotta wait for the right moment, or sometimes we're building a foundation. Sometimes we're gathering more information. Not everything has to be go. And I'll tell you what, that's really hard for me. I am an Earth Sun, and I think my Mars is in Virgo as well, which should make me a very grounded person, you know, hypothetically. But I have a fire moon. I've got the Sagittarius moon. That sounds like a disease. I got the Sagittarius moon. But that means, like, sometimes I get antsy, right? I just want to move things along. And sometimes you have to learn to quell those impulses. So let's see if we can get some cards to say, like, any particular actions you should take. So what action can group one take to get them closer to attracting and meeting this ideal person? We got the 5 of Cups, loss and grief, disappointment, blinded to love. There might be a situation from your past that you need to mourn over. You might be holding on to emotional grief about something. And if we're holding on to that, if we haven't properly, I just saw 32, if we haven't properly processed grief, that creates a lot of blockages. You know, I mean, you can look at it from like a standpoint of like a spiritual blockage, right? Like, Spirit can't deliver you your blessings. Maybe not. I don't freaking know. But, I mean, it's literally why we have emotionally unavailable people, right? Because they're stuck on someone else. Or we're so focused on our grief and our loss that we don't have the room to accept new opportunities. We don't have the room to appreciate something else. So I think there's a situation, it could absolutely deal with another partner, a previous partner, especially since we've got like these two champagne glasses here. If you had like an ending of a relationship or, you know, a divorce, or whatever, you might just need to let it out. And then we've got, who is that character? I'm not sure who that is. It looks like a comic character. And it looks like are they praying? I don't know. And see how she's kind of got her head in a glass? Like she's removing, I guess, the outside influence. She's just kind of keeping her head in a bubble. So definitely there's something from your past you need to grieve, and it's okay to let that out. Any other action that group 1 can take that will help them get closer to meeting this partner and attracting them? Okay, the 10 of Wands. Burden and stress, anxiety, defeat, and burnt out. We don't always like to see that card. But this could be, for some of you, there might be something that you kind of have to push through. For some of you, you are nearing the end of a tough project. That could be making a move, right? That could be finishing a project at work. That could even be you feel like maybe you're overwhelmed by, like, if some of you are in therapy, you might be at a point in your therapy session where things are kind of like overwhelming you, but you feel like you're at the precipice of a breakthrough, and it's really important for you to safely push through that. Okay? Safely. Like, we don't want you to get to a cracking point. We don't want it to be anything damaging, but don't turn tail right now just because things are getting hard. Also, for some of you, it's just a matter of like, what is stressing you out? You may have things in your life that are causing you extra stress, and you need to kind of take stock of them. Is there somebody in your life that is just harping on you, or being negative towards you, or being extra demanding of you? How's your job, sweet pea? Like, is your job just really stressing you out more than what it's worth? Are you experiencing like financial stress? Because if you can figure out where you're feeling stressed, you can figure out a solution to it. And sometimes we just have to endure through the stress and the clouds will part. Sometimes it's a matter of, hey, maybe there's something in our life we need to get rid of. And then finally, we are going to get Raise Your Vibration Oracle, a card from there. So yeah, definitely, it seems like there's some emotional blockages that you have, and by working on those or powering through them, you will significantly open up the door to meeting this type of person. Because they need you to be vulnerable. They need you to be open to connection. They need you to be also somebody who does self-care. Also somebody who is secure in themselves or working towards security in themselves. Also somebody who is, you know, proactive. Maybe not in necessarily the same ways that they are. And I think this would be a partner who is supportive in their own way. But they're also not looking to coddle anybody, you know? So, what chakra? Okay. Literally, shift your perspective. Does anybody else, does this make you think of like the old, was it like Nickelodeon, like Rugrats? kind of thing there. I just felt like putting that out there. So shift your perspective. We're going to see what chakra that relates to. I believe that's like the crown chakra. 84. Yeah. Or the brow chakra, excuse me. Also known as the third eye, it's found at the center of the forehead. It's the chakra that governs the headspace, the mind, and everything to do with perception, including psychic awareness. In Sanskrit, it's known as ajna, or command, giving the clear insight that our awareness and perception are within our control. I just saw 3838. This space governs our willingness to see every aspect of our life spiritually. That goes beyond witnessing psychic phenomena to perceiving ourselves and others in a loving way. On an elemental level, the brow chakra, like the throat, is governed by the element of space, so represents our connection to the life force. The brow cards are about shifting our perception. Their messages require awareness and attention, as they invite us to be willing to see things differently in order to have better vision across the board. They encourage us to do the inner work to improve our connection to both the outer world and spiritual world. So, perspective is a way of seeing and interpreting something. It's a point of view. When you receive this card, it's an opportunity to learn about your perspective. The universe is guiding you to recognize that it is limiting your capacity to see the bigger picture. Sometimes the ego or mind can play tricks and our perception can be faulty. If you are being challenged at the moment, like hello, 10 of Wands, or feel that there's a lack of clarity and direction in your life, there's a good chance the way you're thinking or what you're focusing on has a lot to do with that reality. Take a moment to step back. Ask yourself if you can see your situation from another point of view. Ignore your ego. The ego is the inner voice that operates from a space of lack, and it will consistently use vanity, exterior success, and time as ways of convincing you that things are going to go wrong. Okay, so first of all, yeah, we talked about lack mentality, right? If we're so focused on things that aren't going right, or we can't, or it won't, like, we're going to have a hard time accomplishing anything. So we need to shift that perspective. Also, we talked about time. We're talking about sitting here like, oh man, if things aren't going the way that we want them to go, at the pace we want them to go, then nothing's happening at all. And we called bullshit on that, remember? So adjust your expectations for time and stuff. So if anxiety, concern, and overwhelm are impacting your mindset at this time, know that they're simply your ego talking, and you can disconnect from these limiting ideas. Opportunities are moving toward you, but you have to be willing to see them. The vibe of the day is, I am willing to see things differently. So, when you're in like a feeling of lack, or you're feeling impatient, or you're feeling stressed, I want you to repeat that to yourself, okay? I am willing to see things differently. When you start to sit there and say, I'm never going to find anybody, I am willing to see things differently. When you start to think, I'm not good enough, I am willing to see things differently. When you start to think nothing's happening, I am willing to see things differently. Do it, group number 1. I double dog dare you. Okay? So I'm going to leave this message here. If you felt that this resonated with you, please let me know how in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to be a part of the family and have not done so, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you know whenever I upload a new video. Bye. Hello, group number 2. If you chose the Tiger's Eye Stone or the Rainbow Bottle of Sand, this will be your reading on how you can attract your ideal partner. These 2 piles represent different energies. This pile on the left represents the energy of your ideal partner. The pile on the right represents the energy that you can embody or the actions you can take in order to attract this type of person. So when we're getting into the type of person that is your ideal partner, this is a general reading, so not all of the aspects may align with you. However, if you feel that there are some significant mentions that you resonate with, I would encourage you to stick around and see what advice we have for you. After we get into the oracle cards, we will use a tarot deck to look at some actions you can take, more specifically in order to attract this type of energy. And then we will be getting an oracle card from the Raise Your Vibration oracle deck that will talk about what energy you can embody to help you kind of work towards this. So I do want to say you might be hearing some extra noise in the background. Those are my fans. It's a little warm. I'm going to finally put a work order in after years for my air conditioning because I am just so tired of being like hot in my apartment. But otherwise, also you may notice the angle is a little bit different. I realized that my ring light had been like too low. The ring light portion of my stand actually kind of broke, but this is kind of the lever that allows me to adjust the angle at which I shoot my videos. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I've had it way too low this entire time. Huh. Anyway, let's get into the first portion of your reading. So with this bottle of sand here, we could be talking about, this does make me think of the queer community. So that may resonate for some of you where you're looking for a partner who is a part of that demographic or who accepts you being a part of that demographic. But otherwise, let's look at these traits here. We've got the Homeland card with Foundation. We've got this beautiful card here. It says 45, the intuitive. The affirmation is, I am tuned into the energy of those I care about. And then we've got this card that says new beginnings and opportunities. So we could be seeing things about like personality, interests, physical traits. But you may be looking for somebody who comes from the same like cultural background as yourself. Especially if you are from a family of immigrants. There may be a tie to your like cultural background that you feel really strongly connected with, and you want to share that with somebody. I think you're also looking for somebody who has a strong sense of self. I keep thinking about that new like Ariana Grande song where she goes through the line of talking about like there's this line where she talks about while you find yourself. And it can be very difficult when we are in relationships with people who don't have a deeper sense of who they are. Sometimes they look to us for creating that sense of self. They may struggle to hold a personal identity. They could be very like chameleon-like. There's obviously a huge difference between being adaptable, experimental, exploratory, and just not really having a strong connection to our own identities. People who don't have a strong sense of self can also be individuals who resent others who do have strong senses of self. They can become partners who are very jealous, very combative, very insecure. They almost have a tendency of trying to shrink you because they're jealous, right? Of the way that you embrace your own identity. So I think you're really looking for somebody who has that understanding of who they are, their values, their interests, their emotions, their fears, their dreams. You could also be looking for somebody who does have a strong connection to family. Family may be something that's very important to you. I've always been somebody who's been kind of more distant from my family. I just have felt that I'm more connected to what we would call like our chosen family or my chosen family, people that I feel that I've developed a deep connection with, versus the people that I'm simply just related to through blood and marriage. There are exceptions to that, but sometimes I look to people who are very strongly connected to their families, and I would have loved that. It's obviously not too late for me to change that, but there are some reasons why I'm not close to my family. But the kinds of people, right, who, like, they go out to dinner with their families. They spend holidays with their families. They do, like, family photos or go on vacations with their families or keep in contact even if they're at a distance. That might be something that's really important to you. It could also be, like, you know, especially if you want to create a family, whether that is through like a blended family, maybe you already have children, or through creating a biological family with somebody else, or doing things like adoption or fostering, or even simply the kind of, like, family where you integrate into each other's lives, right? Like, you become close with their family, they become close with yours, or, like, you guys kind of merge friend groups. I think you're looking for a strong sense of community with this person. Connection is something that is very deeply important to you. I think you're also looking for somebody who just in general has a strong foundation. This could be somebody who has set interests, or they're financially stable. They have a secure living arrangement. You might have been in a situation with someone where maybe they were in and out of jobs, or they were constantly behind on bills, or they were, like, couch surfing or constantly moving. And I think you're just looking for a little bit more stability and consistency. It can be difficult, right, to create a life with someone if their life is constantly changing in ways, or is experiencing chaos or disharmony. So I think you're looking for somebody who does, in whatever way they have some sense of stability and foundation, because that really gives you guys the ability to focus on the connection and expand without having distractions. With the intuitive here, I am tuned into the energy of those I care about. I think you're looking for somebody who is emotionally attentive, somebody who demonstrates care for others, especially if you've had partners where they were more fixated on, like, their own emotions or experiences. Like, I dated this guy. It's a 1-year anniversary of being broken up with him. Go me. Oh God, I'm so happy. But you know, I could communicate, like, I'm having a rough day today, and his sympathy for that was very surface level. Oh, I'm sorry, baby. But, you know, when you're having a bad day, just think about how bad I've had it. You know, this was somebody who needed the attention on them. Or sometimes there are people who they just don't want to deal with emotions. They don't want to deal with maybe the serious stuff. They may be emotionally repressed themselves, or, like, they're very uncomfortable with talking in depth or focusing on emotional realities, and so they would rather gloss over it, you know, be like, it is what it is. And you're looking for somebody, I think, who is more nurturing in that respect. Somebody who acknowledges when you're struggling, somebody who is there to console you, or offer you support, as I'm sure that you would do for them, right? Because relationships do require that kind of support. That support isn't going to look like the same thing for everyone, but it should be mutual, right? It shouldn't be one person taking care of the other person all the time, and you might have experienced that situation. So I think you're looking for somebody who can see beyond themselves and who is comfortable in being nurturing towards another person. You might also be looking for somebody who is spiritual. When I think of, like, intuition, I think of somebody who does have some sort of connection with something outside of themselves, whether they're kind of a maybe just like a agnostic, where they might not have a concrete explanation for what they feel is out there, but they do feel connected to something. Or even, you know, maybe being someone more religious or deeply spiritual, especially if it connects to some sort of cultural background that you have. And then with new beginnings and opportunities, I think you're looking for somebody who is exploratory. There's somebody who is curious. You might have dealt with people who were very stagnant in their life. They always maintained the same routines. They weren't comfortable expanding out of their comfort zone, especially if you are somebody who likes to try new experiences, and you would try to encourage previous partners to go do things with you, and they would rebuff your attempts at that. It was probably very frustrating. And maybe they weren't even new experiences for you. Maybe it was just you were trying to share a part of your world with them, and it wasn't something that they were naturally inclined to do, so they didn't participate. But I think you're looking for somebody who is willing to expand outside of their immediate interests, or expand outside of their comfort zone. You could be somebody who, with the new beginnings and opportunities, and the foundation card here with the foundation being a map, you could be somebody who does like to travel. So that might be something specific that you're looking for, a travel buddy. I wonder, where are we on this map? I'm so geographically challenged. So, I mean, that looks like the UK there. Oh, sorry, it's not even on frame. That looks like the UK. So then what? That would be like Norway and Sweden, maybe? Oh yeah, Italy. I think you're also looking for somebody who offers you new experiences. As I mentioned, you might be somebody who is more curious or exploratory. So you could be looking for a partner who is a little ambitious, adventurous, to potentially either share that quality with somebody or bring that out more in you. Whether this is about traveling to new places, trying new hobbies, doing like, especially if like you're kind of a thrill seeker, like going and doing exciting things like rock climbing, or deep sea diving, trying new restaurants, whatever you feel would kind of get you out of, if you're in like your own sense of stagnation, right? Like, especially if you have been single for a while, or you feel that you keep attracting the same partners and it's kept you in kind of a cycle, you're looking for somebody who's different enough that it brings new elements to a connection, and it brings new elements to your life. So if you've had similar partners in the past, right? Like they all seem to share similar qualities, and you've noticed that you've been repeating the same cycles in relationships. You're looking for somebody who's different from your previous partners so that you can have new relationship experiences, because whatever you were going through in the past, the kind of people that you were connected to in the past, it was just repetitive, it was cyclical, and it wasn't offering any growth. So if this sounds like the type of person you're wanting to attract, then we are going to get into what you can do in order to get closer to meeting that type of person and attracting that type of person. All right, so we have Wiccan Reed with Ethos. This beautiful card here. Number 30, the farmer. Affirmation, I enjoy being of service to those who deserve it. And then card, expand your perspective. Now, how I want to do this is I will read these intuitively, and then I will go into the booklets and read from them as well, because I think they will offer either some further information or confirmation about what we've been talking about. So, let's just read what it says on the Wicked Read card. Bide the Wiccan law ye must. Imperfect love, imperfect trust. 8 words the Wiccan read fulfill. And ye harm none, do as ye will, and ever mind the rule of 3. What ye send out comes back to thee. Follow this with mind and heart, and merry ye meet, and merry ye part. Okay, so if you've had any issues in the past, and I say this as someone who's guilty too, where maybe you've felt like a level of vindictiveness towards people who have wronged you, it's going to be time to heal that. Now, I will say, on a personal level, I want to support people taking back their power. I want to support people. Like, I was literally just watching a TikTok video about how people have been petty towards ex-partners. And I'm not gonna lie, the ego part of me was like, yes, I love it. But I can also argue that sometimes when we hyperfixate on seeking vengeance or kind of getting one up over somebody else, that can sometimes remove the focus where it should be, right? Like on healing ourselves, or on working towards better outcomes, or maintaining emotional balance. So that's a hard one for me to talk about. I do love a good revenge story, but if you're someone who's currently focusing on seeking revenge or getting back at somebody or being petty towards somebody, or if that's something that you've kind of had an inclination towards, there might be something you want to work on healing. Especially with this person's like intuitive nature, they might pick up on this mentality. And like if well, this is the do no harm mentality, but like if they sense that you're a vindictive person, they may not feel that you are aligned with them. But also with the ethos here, Wiccan Read, I think it's very important for you to come up with a list of needs in relationships, right? Get very serious about what you are looking for. So you're looking for somebody who has a strong foundation, who has a strong sense of self. But you might be in a situation where you're not quite sure, like you have maybe some inkling as to the type of person that you want to be with or the type of relationship you want to be in, but especially if you've gone through similar cycles that have been very unfulfilling for you, you might not actually know what it is that you're looking for, right? So the best example I can give is like, I've been in relationships most of the time, actually all of the time, essentially, where things moved very quickly. I've been accustomed to relationships that are very fast moving and intense, which is a great feeling at first. You get that passion, you get that love, you get that sense of connection. But in these previous instances, most of the time that fizzled out And the reality was, like, we hadn't taken the time to get to know each other and establish connection, like a connection, before we moved into romance. And so then all of a sudden, you know, you're in a situation where you still feel kind of connected to somebody, and you want to, like, maybe reclaim that relationship that existed in the very beginning. Anyway, I've gotten to a point where I realize that for me, that fast moving type of romance is not what's best for me. But I don't really know, like, what a relationship looks like beyond that. Like, I don't really know what healthy pacing is like. So, you know, when I'm experiencing a connection that's kind of going more slowly, I'm like, is this ever going to amount into anything, or is it going to remain stagnant? Am I receiving enough in this connection, or am I accepting, like, breadcrumbs, the bare minimum? And I don't, like, obviously I am not a relationship expert right now. I'm still in the process of figuring it out. But I am a person who shares my experiences and offers perspectives in the hopes that it will provide clarity or possibility for someone else, right? So, in a situation where things are going more slowly for me, I'm having to look at, even if this is going slowly, do things change, right? Is this person becoming more open emotionally? Are we going out and, like, doing things, or is it just kind of like a Netflix and chill situation? How are things progressing? Am I able to communicate moments of, like, discontent or needs, and are they receptive to that? And it's also understanding that, you know, like, a situation, my feelings about a situation can change at any time, right? Like, if a pacing is working for me at one point in time, but it's always possible that later on, like, I might look at the situation and go, okay, this isn't progressing enough. It's not it's not mirroring what I need. And even though there's been communication, there doesn't seem to be as much progress. And that's okay. We're not ever really stuck in situations. We always have the ability to make different choices. I just saw 24/24. So it's really a learning process, right? Like, you might need to look at some of your past connections and figure out, like, okay, you might know exactly what you didn't like about somebody, what didn't work for you. But you might need to figure out, like, what would it look like to see behaviors that did work for me? Like, what kind of person am I looking for to, and, like, what traits of theirs are, like, green flags? And of course, we always have to understand, like, we can't shape people. We're never going to find, like, the perfect partner. So we don't want to sit here and we don't want to create such a strict list that is going to put us in a position where nobody else will ever be good enough for us. They'll never meet our expectations. But I think you may need to really focus on what's important to you and what kind of person you're looking for, what qualities you're looking for that you feel would be a match for you, that would show support, that would show progress, that would show care, that would show companionship. And of course, that list, as you continue to date, can be amended, it can be adjusted. But without having that information, sometimes we just kind of wander around lost, or we might end up settling for connections that aren't fulfilling and just kind of stay put because we don't really know what something better looks like or what a better match looks like. Or we might struggle to be able to effectively communicate in a relationship, right? Like you could be like, man, this partner is great, but there are these certain qualities about our relationship that are deeply unfulfilling. And there's always a chance that if you communicate that, that person will be receptive and they'll want to cooperate with you to come to a more fulfilling arrangement. But if you're not communicating that, things stay the same, and then you just get frustrated. You get stuck in a loop, right? So really work on fine-tuning what it is that you're looking for. We have the farmer with, I enjoy being of service to those who deserve it. I want to highlight that. I enjoy being of service to those who deserve it. I think maybe you've been in situations where you have overextended yourself in relationships for people who weren't worth your energy. It doesn't necessarily mean that they weren't good people, or that there wasn't genuine love there, but you might have invested in people consistently that were not right for you. And especially if they were more focused on their own needs, or if they were combative, controlling, emotionally negligent, then I think you could have burnt yourself out. So you really need to practice investing in people who show you that they're worth investing in. So this could also even be, right, taking it more slowly in relationships. Addressing very specific concerns or needs early on. You know, if you are looking for someone religious or spiritual in some sense, addressing that. You know, do you want kids? Or if you have children, for example, and they don't, asking them like, how do you feel about being in a relationship with somebody who has children? You want to make sure that there's enough of an alignment between the two of you that you're not developing emotions and attachments too quickly. Because once you develop those strong attachments and emotions, it's so much harder to admit when a situation is not fulfilling for you, when it's not moving in the right direction and it's not a situation that you should be in, because you start to rationalize everything, right? If I just give it enough time, if I change myself this way, if I alter how I communicate, and, you know, at the end of the day, you get to a point where you realize like you are sowing seeds into barren ground, essentially. Nothing's going to grow there. The soil has been depleted. It's a lost cause. So when you are more intentional with who you're engaging with and how you are engaging with them in the beginning, you are more likely to be able to choose a partner that is in stronger alignment for you. And then we've got expand your perspective. So, you know, you're looking for somebody who is going to bring new beginnings and opportunities and be intuitive, have a foundation. It's very possible that you need to have some new experiences for yourself, right? Go out and do things that maybe you normally wouldn't do. Maybe look into some self-help books, right? If you're feeling like you've kind of attracted the same partners consistently, you know, sometimes like self-help books or therapy can be very beneficial. You could try dating people outside of your usual demographic, because sometimes that gives us the ability to have new experiences we otherwise wouldn't have previously been offered. You know, if we're sticking to certain types of people, right? Like someone that I met through work, or someone of a certain ethnicity, or, you know, I only date older people, or, you know, what have you, you might be limiting yourself in that respect. So it might be beneficial for you to expand your dating pool. You may also, I think, just need to kind of work on expanding your mind. So getting more in touch with your intuition, reframing how you think about yourself, how you think about dating, all of those types of things. So let's quickly read through the oracle books here. So we've got Wiccan Read. Let's see. You are not one for sticking to the rules. In fact, you struggle when faced with that which you must adhere to. You have a natural rebellious streak which has led you into trouble. But honor that side of you, for it makes you all the more wonderful. However, as a working witch, it is vital that you have integrity in all that you do. At all times, you must follow the Wiccan Read. You can rest assured that it was not put in place to spoil your fun, but to safeguard all magical practitioners from any harm to themselves and to others. You will find that the Wiccan Read is a positive instructional to live by and promises a way of life that's in tune with the balance of nature and perfect love and perfect trust. You can be confident that nothing you do will come back and bite you when you live according by the ethos of the Wiccan Read. And bide the law of three, and ye harm none, do as ye will. Raise your standards. Oh my God, absolutely. Along with, being of service to those who deserve it. Raise your standards. Adopt some ethics. Understand the importance of the threefold law and the principle of cause and effect. Live by the Wiccan Read. It will change your view of the world. Your situation is a result of past actions. Open your heart and trust. And past actions can even just be like, not necessarily that you've deserved unfulfilling relationships, but maybe you've not considered yourself enough, right? You possibly have been too focused on other people or too accommodating to other people, and so thereby have entered into connections where your needs haven't been met. And so I think this is a point in time where you might need to really prioritize what it is that you want and what makes you feel good, because then you'll be able to attract a partner who embodies that. We've got 30, the farmer, excuse me. When you do work that you love, you always want to do your best. All your energies get channeled into making your business an extension of you and what you love to do. A world of businesses built on a foundation of love is a noble goal and an attainable one. Those who love their work may also find that it gives them the opportunity to meet others who share their interests and passions. The psychological material rewards you reap from fulfilling work are priceless. However, a career is not something you have to give your life to in total commitment. Service work may be a calling outside of your career. Sometimes one must put his or her own needs second to another for a time. Some people do this gladly, but if an imbalance goes on too long, or if the one providing the service is asked to do things they are not willing to do, a relationship can become stuck. Exactly. So yeah, I think you recognize the importance of, like, sometimes you have to put the other person first, but you need to make sure that's balanced, right? And when there's truly love and compatibility and a connection, working on building a foundation together isn't always work. Now, that's not to say that everything is always perfect. Every relationship, especially the longer you go on, is going to have its moments of distress and frustration and stagnation. But if two people are together just because they want a relationship and they don't want to be alone, but they don't really value the other person, or they feel like there's more stress than reward, then it becomes harder to make changes. The reward is even something as simple sometimes as just enjoying each other's company, right? Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I get to spend time with Pile 2. I love spending time with Pile 2. That can be a reward, right? But if things are constantly feeling like work, or there's always a misalignment of values or interests, there's less incentive to work on things together. So it's important for you, I think, to find somebody who has some commonalities with you, or who has a similar temperament, someone who does want to go out and do fun things or exciting things, somebody who also cares about another person's experience in a situation, because then that's going to allow for more harmony. Then we have expand your perspective. This card comes to you to let you know that you aren't seeing things completely clearly. It's as if you have blinders on and your focus is too narrow. Spirit is asking you to awaken to the infinite possibilities that lie outside of your own expectations.
This doesn't just apply to visions or plans you may be trying to manifest for the near or distant future, but within each experience you have. Are you not seeing the full impact of a relationship you're in? Not able to completely see another person's point of view to resolve an argument. In creative process, but experiencing a block to break through, these circumstances can be difficult to overcome without choosing to open up yourself to different perspectives. Tap into both your physical vision and your spiritual sight through your third eye to see more clearly and embrace the boundless potentials that await you. Yes! I use my physical and spiritual sight to see clearly all of the magical and miraculous possibilities that serve my highest good so that I may follow them to my blessed destiny. And maybe you've been looking from your perspective so much that you're not necessarily seeing from other people's perspectives. And that, especially if you're someone who has given too much of yourself or like denied your own needs, you might be like, what the hell, Amber? But, that limited perspective could also even be something as simple as like, you might be projecting onto other people or have projected onto other people in the past idealism, right? When you're not looking at the reality of like, so for instance, I have had 2 partners that struggled very heavily with addiction. And I was constantly frustrated because I was like, why am I not good enough to be sober for? Well, the reality was, they were deeply ill and they weren't at a point in their life where they were ready to get help. However, I looked at it as an invalidation of my worth when that really wasn't it. Okay, so we're going to get a couple of cards here to describe like actions you can take to get closer to this person, like meeting this type of person or attracting them. Okay, the 3 of Cups. Celebrations, friendships, reunions. Go out. Go out with friends. Go out with yourself. But especially, I would say, friends. Go out and have a good time. This puts you in an atmosphere of where people are seeing you enjoy yourself. It puts you also, I think, in an atmosphere of just being happy. You might be in a position where you're so stuck and frustrated about not having a partner or not finding the right partner that you're kind of forgetting the joy of connection. And the 3 of Cups energy really can bring you back into harmony with that, where you're having a good time and you feel more fulfilled. Friendships are just as important as romantic relationships. Okay? And I think going out and having fun with your friends will ultimately bring you back a sense of fulfillment that makes you more hopeful to meet somebody else and also more attractive to somebody else. It's also entirely possible that there's a friend of yours who could have you connect with someone else that they know. This could even talk about doing like speed dating or going out to social events where you are encountering new people. Okay, so like lately I've been doing, I think it's over for this season, but I did a couple of like Yelp events where I would sign up to be put on a wait list, and then I got accepted onto the RSVP list or whatever, and I went to 2 different events and got to meet different people. What else can group number 2 do to bring them into this energy and help them connect with someone? We've got the 6 of Pentacles in reverse. Don't make too early an investment. Just as we were talking here with the farmer, be a little bit more conservative about what you're spending. And I'm talking like, yeah, you can talk about financially. Like, don't be sitting there buying people expensive stuff or whatever. Or treating them all the time. But I think this is also just like with your resources, right? Like, you don't need to accommodate somebody all the time, and you don't need to make early investments where you enter into relationships really quickly. You don't need to make anything official right away. Like, spend time getting to know people. Okay, this one just wanted to come out. But spend time getting to know people and making sure that the investment is worthwhile for both parties before you actually make a commitment. So we've got the I am fulfilled by love card. And we're going to look to see what chakra that embodies. Okay, 104. So this is called the Soul Star. The Soul Star is the energetic gateway around 6 to 12 feet above the crown of the head. It's visualized as a three-dimensional star known as Merkaba. It is one of the higher chakras that become accessible to us when the Kundalini pierces the crown chakra and opens up our direct experience of the divine. It holds our soul's purpose, our karmic lessons, and our soul's potential. Energetically, it's through this chakra that we open the door to higher dimensions, spiritual guides, and a deeper understanding of why we have come to the planet. The Soul Star cards are about revisiting old lessons or stories that could be blocking our experience of abundance and purpose. Absolutely. Yes, these messages are about uniting the spiritual self with the human world so that we can make this world a brighter place to be by facing our old stories, clearing our conscience, and becoming aware of our own impact. We begin opening up the channels to the higher realms where we can begin to perceive divine guidance and experience our spiritual guides in a more visceral way. When you pick this card, there's a good chance that you've experienced fear, separation, and heartache in this lifetime. Somewhere in your past, you've been made to feel that you have to fight to be loved or prove your worthiness to receive the acceptance of others. In the past, this has encouraged you to close off and shield yourself from possible hurt. For a long time, you've spent time and energy revisiting the old wounds in an effort to build yourself back up and move forward into a new experience. You are now at a crucial point on your spiritual journey where you have realized that love isn't something you have to work for or search for, but your divine inheritance. You have recognized that it doesn't just come through relationships or external experiences, but is your natural state of being. Now you are realizing that fulfillment doesn't come through anything external either, but the recognition that you are a spark of magnificence from the heart of the universe. You are part of the bigger picture. You are love embodied. And this is the vibe of the day. I am fulfilled by love because love is who I am. So when you're experiencing moments where you think maybe you're too much, or that you have to earn love, or that the past partnerships you've had are all that will ever be available to you, I want you to repeat that. I am fulfilled by love because love is who I am. All right? So group number 2, I hope that this reading resonated with you. If it did, please let me know how in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to be part of the family and haven't done so, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you know whenever I upload a new video. Bye. Hello, group number 3. If you chose the ocean wave with the volcano in the back or the clear quartz, this will be a reading on how you can attract your ideal partner. Now, you might notice this looks a little bit different. It's because I realized I had to adjust my ring light filming stand. So the actual ring light portion of it, the arm of that kind of broke, so I have to rig it up a little bit. And I paid more attention to that than how close the arm that holds my phone was to like the table that I use. So, it's so nice to be able to like see everything again. But let's get into your reading today. So we have 2 piles here. Pile 1 on the left indicates the type of energy that you're looking for in a partner. Now, because this is a general reading, this might not be comprised of qualities that exactly match what you're looking for. But if you notice something that stands out significantly to you and you're like, yes, that's what I do want in a partner, then I would ask you to stick around and see what advice we have for you in the second pile. The second pile is about what you can do and how like you can express yourself in a way that will get you closer to meeting this person or attracting this person. Then we will be going into tarot to look at a little bit more information as to like what actions you can take. And then finally we will be getting a card that's from the Raise Your Vibration Oracle deck. And that tells us like which chakra you can focus on, and it'll give us kind of like a mantra that will help you hone in on this energy. So let's get started. Right away, when I think of this sticker, I'm looking at, this could be representative of a location. So this could be confirmation, right? But this is your pile. You could be looking for somebody who is active and sporty. But I also think of, when we have tall waves like that and then like a volcano, right? Like that's intensity, that's passion. So those are the qualities that I'm thinking of right now when I look at that sticker itself. And now we can get into the cards themselves. So we have Samhain with death. We have this beautiful card here. It's labeled 29, the Romantics. And the affirmation is, I allow romance to touch my heart every day. And then finally, we have this card with Worry Not. Now, when we're looking at these cards, we can be picking up on personality traits, maybe physical traits, interests. But let's see what we can glean from these cards. So first and foremost, I think you're looking for somebody who is a deep person. I don't think that you are interested in superficiality. So with death, I oftentimes associate that with Scorpio. Scorpio is represented by the Death card in tarot, and Scorpio is seen as a very intense, deep card of transformation. So I think you're looking for somebody who you can have stimulating conversations with, somebody who thinks about things beyond surface level, somebody who's maybe even had rich life experiences. I think you can appreciate a person who is well-rounded, who is educated, or someone who has a variety of perspectives. Really somebody who can appreciate how multifaceted life and people are. You could also be interested in somebody who is interested in like spirituality or the occult. That might be something that you feel particularly drawn to, and so you might have an interest in sharing that quality with somebody. I think like interfaith relationships absolutely can work. One of the good examples is like my best friend and his husband. Like my best friend is pagan, but his husband is atheist. But neither one objects to how the other person sees the world, right? So my friend doesn't try to pressure his husband into becoming more spiritual. On the same token, my best friend's husband doesn't ridicule him for his beliefs, and there are times where he's even participated in certain things. Like we used to have new moon rituals and everything like that. And so he would participate just because he knew it was important to my best friend, but it was never like as a way to pressure him or change his mind about anything. But I think you might be looking for somebody who does share that quality with you, because it could be just a very deep part of who you are. Or you may have felt that, especially if you've had past relationships where your beliefs weren't respected, you just want to feel more aligned with somebody. You could also like somebody who has a darker aesthetic, right? Somebody who is more alternative. And along that lines, if we're looking at aesthetics, you could be looking for somebody who does embrace more like natural qualities, whether that's wearing like their natural hair or not wearing as much makeup, or even like their natural, like more natural style clothing. With the romantics here, I see that you're looking for somebody who has a softer side to them. You might be looking for somebody, I just saw 7-7, who is more romantic, right? The person who is going to court you, the person who is going to give you flowers, or like one thing I used to do for a previous partner was like I'd make him little gift baskets, just randomly, not for any special event, but just because I saw things and I was like, oh, I know he would like these, and I just want to make him feel good today. You could be, I mean, just getting like, the thought of like Morticia and Gomez Addams, right? Or other depictions of characters who are very deeply in love with each other, and they never stop showing that. They always bring love into the connection. They always bring love into the relationship. A lot of times romance happens at the very beginning of a relationship, and then as people settle into the connection, that can disappear. And while becoming more understated doesn't necessarily mean a relationship is unhealthy or stagnant, I think we should always express love and affection to the people that we're with. And so you might have been in relationships in the past where there was a lot of romance in the beginning and then it died out. And so you're wanting someone who's consistent in that. You might have also experienced relationships where a person wasn't especially romantic, right? Maybe they were more practical. Maybe they were somebody who, like, checked in to make sure you eat, or offered to fix something for you, or, in whichever way a person can express care and love that may not necessarily be the most romantic. And maybe even if you appreciated that, you're just like, I do want romance. I want flowers. I want dates. I want sweet nothings whispered in my ear. Or even if you've experienced relationships where someone was just like, no, romance is stupid. I'm not doing that. It's dumb. It's pathetic, whatever. And you're just like, no, it's not. That's something I would genuinely enjoy. Now, also with the romantics card, for some of you, you may be wanting a partner who is interested in polyamory. Maybe you're in a poly relationship and you're looking to add another into your connection. Or maybe you just are poly, or it's something you want to explore. And even if you don't have a partner right now, you're looking for somebody who's open to that. And then with worry not, this is somebody who is emotionally stable. Maybe you've been in relationships in the past where someone was always nervous about something, always worried about something, and you just kind of felt like the negativity was bringing you down. You might also be somebody who has anxiety, and so you're looking for somebody who is reassuring, right? Somebody who comforts you, somebody who notices your anxiety tells, somebody who helps you kind of temper your own concerns. You're looking for somebody who offers support in ways that make you feel reassured, make you feel confident, and help you feel secure. So we're going to put these cards over here. And now we're going to get into the cards that are about how you can get closer to meeting this type of person and how you can attract this type of person. Now, we will be reading these cards intuitively, but then we will also be going into the guidebooks, because sometimes the guidebooks offer extra information, or sometimes, they offer confirmation. So, we have Homeland with Foundation. We have this card here, 26, the Desirable. Affirmation, I accept my desires as a pure expression of my essential self. And then we have this card that says Life Purpose. So let's take a look at these cards. With Foundation here, there may be a need for you to work on your sense of security in some way. For some of you right now, it might need to be working on gaining like financial security, or moving into a new place, that might be what your focus needs to be on for the time being, because sometimes when we're in very transitionary periods of our lives, or we are in a situation that's causing us a lot of stress because maybe we don't have a secure living arrangement or we don't have our finances under control, that can really dampen our ability to make deeper connections with other people. Like we're so caught up in the chaos of our own lives that it doesn't really leave much room to relax and meet people and enjoy connections for what they are. And if you're looking for some sense of stability, right, with this worry not card, you being able to have your own sense of stability will help you better align with this energy. One of my previous relationships, a comment that I had made to my ex-partner was like, I had wanted him to be somebody who was more of like a stable protector type person, that I wasn't able to acknowledge that, if he didn't feel safe in his own life because he was going through some circumstances, if he didn't feel safe and secure in his own life, then he couldn't provide that to me. And also, like, I couldn't rely on somebody else to provide something for me. I think there's something to be said about having a relationship where you kind of play on each other's like strengths and weaknesses, right? Like there's a balance that's created because one person might be better at this, but another person might be better at that. But especially when it comes to things like foundation, it is beneficial for us to have that for ourselves, because then it takes the pressure off of the relationship to fulfill our needs, right? If we're looking for a foundation through somebody else, and if they're not able to do that for us, there becomes this feeling of resentment. Whereas, if we can provide that for ourselves, then we can simply enjoy the relationship for what it is. I think you also just kind of maybe need to get back to the basics. If maybe you've been trying all of these like crazy apps, or you've been trying out these different techniques that are recommended from like podcasts or self-help books, or which I think can all be very useful resources, it might be time for you to kind of pull back and focus on the bare necessities, right? Like, what am I looking for in a partnership? And what are the qualities that I bring? How can I, and that's where we're coming into this question too, how can I embody the type of energy that would support this type of connection? And really like build a life for yourself that you're proud of. Because for as long as we're breathing, we always have the opportunity to meet somebody to add to our lives. But if we hyperfixate on relationships, sometimes we put ourselves into like a stasis where we stop putting attention into other areas of our life, right? Like our hobbies, our business, our friendships, our families. But every time that you are investing in yourself, you are honoring the person that someone will eventually come to love, right? And that's the way I kind of look at it too, is like a person who loves us, whether they are in our lives currently or not, they would want us to take care of ourselves. And so even if this person isn't in your life, like, you taking care of yourself is something that they would want you to do. And specifically for like those of you who are looking for poly relationships, you may want to start exploring areas where that's more common. So like local groups or online spaces where poly relationships are kind of at the forefront. Because it is, like, it's so much more socially acceptable now than it used to be. But it's still an area where a lot of people are critical of it. They don't have an understanding, or even like some people will take advantage of the poly title, right? And they'll try to say like they're poly, but really they're just trying to have relationships where they don't have to be held accountable. Because poly relationships are not about just doing whatever you want with whomever you want, right? Like, they require structure in their own ways. They require boundaries. They require honesty. They require communication. Like, I would argue poly relationships are probably a lot harder to maintain than monogamous relationships. And honestly, even though the poly lifestyle is not for me, my best friend who is poly, like, his relationships exemplify the healthiest I've ever seen of what relationships can look like. And then we've got the desirable. I accept my desires as a pure expression of my essential self. So, first of all, when you are either communicating with yourself or communicating with others, be very open about what you're looking for. You might be the type of person who downplays your interests or your needs because you may not think that they're realistic or that you are deserving of them, but it's very important that you are open with what you're looking for, right? So if you're connecting with someone, being open with them about like, hey, I want a partner who's romantic. Or, hey, I am poly and I'm looking for a partner who's comfortable with that. You know, whether they also participate in poly relationships or whether they're okay with having a partner who has relationships outside of theirs. But being open about that from honestly the get-go. I think this is also a call for you to get a little bit more flirty. You know, if you want more romance in your life, you might have to embody that in yourself, right? Like, dress in a way that makes you feel appealing. And when you are out, right, flirt. Now, it can be like, you know, you see someone at a coffee shop and you think they're really attractive, so you kind of shoot your shot and you flirt with them a little bit. Whether you're expecting something to happen or not, you might just be like, hey, I want to just be a little bit lighthearted and flirty today. Like, you don't always have to flirt with the intention of something becoming serious. It might also just be a call for when you are connecting with people, allow that flirtation to be expressed earlier on. You might be somebody who's more hesitant to do that because maybe you're more practical, or like you're trying to get the logistics out of the way, or maybe you're a little bit timid to be like too flirty too early. And I'll tell you, of course, we always want to be conscientious of other people's boundaries. Like, I'm not going to go sit on someone's lap right? And like caress their hair without express permission from them, or like already having a pre-established connection. Or there's I love the TV series called From. If you watch From, let me know. Oh my god, I'm obsessed. I'm doing literally like my 4th or 5th rewatch of the series because the season finale for season 4 just came out. And I like, now we've got like another year before the final season will be out. So I'm absolutely doing a rewatch. I have a little binder that I'm making. Okay, sorry. I'm obsessed. But anyway, in one of the first episodes of this series From, there's this girl named, I think her name's Trudy. And she sees this character named Jade. Now, Jade has just come into this town where the premise of From is people are sucked into like kind of this alternate dimension or pocket reality, and they can't leave, and there are monsters that come out at night. But Trudy looks at Jade and she's like, too bad you didn't choose Colony House. I would have rode you like an alabaster dragon. And like, and poor Jade's face is just like, okay, that was weird. Like, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily encourage something like that intense, right? But I mean, you can flirt in more subtle ways. You know, the way you laugh, the way you smile, the way your eyes kind of linger, complimenting another person, sitting closer to them, maybe like subtly like touching them, not in inappropriate places, right? But you might want to embrace more of that personality of yours, whether it's with someone that you're just like, hey, just for this moment because I think they're kind of cute, or with someone that you are maybe pursuing or exploring a romantic dynamic with, introducing that a little bit earlier, because then you kind of get to see how they express romance, right? And then we've got life purpose here, which really ties me back a little bit to foundation. I think there is a call for you to focus on your personal goals and your personal journey. And that could actually help if you are somebody who struggles with anxiety. That could potentially help with any anxiety or depression that you're feeling, so that you would be able to have that better managed without putting an expectation on somebody else to always like be reassuring. Look, there's nothing wrong with wanting somebody to be supportive of you. Absolutely. You know, that's what we're there for. That's what human connection is there for. But I'll tell you this. I'm somebody who is hyper aware of people's tones changing. I'm hyper aware of the type of language that's used or body language. I feel shifts immensely. And there were so many times that if something about someone shifted a little bit, I would take it very personally. I would think it was my fault. I started to recognize that a lot of times those shifts don't have anything to do with me, unless like the other person clarifies that. But sometimes people are tired, they're not feeling well, they're stressed, they're distracted. And so I started to work on feeling more secure in my relationships. And then I dated someone who was also hyper aware of shifts, right? And so he was constantly needing reassurance. Like, what changed between us? What's going on? And it would be like, because maybe I looked a different way for a second, right? Or I didn't answer something right away. And I realized how stressful that was to a relationship. Like previously, I had recognized how stressful it was on me, just worrying like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? When in reality, it probably had nothing to do with me. In this situation, I realized how hypervigilance and constant need for reassurance can be stressful on relationships, because it doesn't give the other person time to think about things. It doesn't give them time to process things. And it is like an expression of really a lack of trust in the relationship, right? Like, trust that if I think something is wrong or if I'm upset or whatever, I will communicate with you about that. But I don't want to have to always explain every breath I take, or every time I look a different way, or every time I say a word that kind of throws you off. Like, I don't want to have to constantly analyze myself and express myself, because sometimes those motions don't even really mean anything, you know? So, and it's not that a person who is like hyper aware and hyper vigilant and everything like that is too much, or they're not, you know, worthy, but sometimes that is something that we can work on independently, so that once again, we aren't putting like extra stress on a relationship and on another person. And it also gives you a sense of relief, right? When we become more confident in ourselves and in the people that we are surrounded by, then we're not worried as much. I'll tell you what, being anxious is exhausting. Holy moly, it's exhausting. But the good news is that we don't always have to be anxious. Now, it's different for everybody, because people have different reasons for having things like anxiety or depression. So if that's something that you do struggle with, I would encourage you to look into maybe getting professional help if you haven't been down that route before. Otherwise, you know, really reflecting on what triggers you and what makes you feel safe. Maybe looking into some self-help books and stuff like that. Anxiety and depression make us feel incredibly out of control of our own experiences, but that's not quite as true as what our brains tell us. It can be difficult to gain more control over our thought processes and stuff like that, but it is possible. It just takes a lot of patience, diligence, a lot of trial and error. But other than that, you know, also just focusing on your life purpose, because maybe it'll bring you closer to meeting this person. You could have a shared life purpose with this individual, right? Maybe both of you are creative people, or maybe both of you are humanitarians, or maybe both of you are scientifically minded, or like, what about that couple, right? I think they're a Russian couple who just scaled the Empire State Building in New York, and they met as like extreme climbers or something, and saw each other as competitors, but then they kind of like started dating and fell in love, and now they're engaged. Like, focusing on your life purpose could potentially get you closer to meeting this person. So now we're going to look at a couple of tarot cards that will tell us what you can specifically do to get closer to meeting this person and attracting them. Okay, what are things group 3 can do to get closer to meeting this person? Okay. So we have the 4 of Pentacles in reverse with the 2 of Wands. I'm going to take this as like a clarifier. There may be a situation that you are in right now that you need to walk away from or deconstruct, and then plan for the future. So like, for instance, if you guys are already in a relationship, but it's kind of like a dead relationship, like, you know, maybe not even necessarily in a relationship. Maybe you're just still married on paper, but you never went through like the divorce proceedings, I would highly encourage you to go through with those divorce proceedings. This could talk about leaving home for some of you. Even though, look at that, we're under homeland. Maybe some of you need to return home. Because the Four of Pentacles upright can symbolize home life. But in reverse, it can talk about literally like packing your stuff up and going. If there's... For some of you, if there's like a religious identity that you have had that you don't feel is in alignment with who you are anymore, you may need to actively leave that. But others of you, it's like, it's just, there was something else. Kind of making this intentional decision. Oh my gosh, I forgot to go through the booklets. We'll go through them in a second. And even like maybe physically leaving a living environment, right? If you feel like if you're living with people and it's not the right type of environment for you, you may need to make the decision like, okay, I'm actually going to go like apartment hunting, right? Or for some of you, you need to move, like I said, back home if that's something you've been considering. Or moving away from home, if that's something you've been considering. Oh. And then we'll get one more. Okay. We've got the Three of Cups here and the Five of Swords upright. So I feel like this might be signifying if you have been resistant to spending time with other people, this might be an indication of you need to reflect on why that is. The Five of Swords is about mental conflict. The Three of Cups in reverse can talk about like disharmony. There may be people you need to cut out of your life, but I also think this might be like, oh, reflect on other people like maybe you've rejected. What didn't you like about those people? What led you to rejecting them? I think for some of you, you might be in a position where like you've been finding something wrong with everybody that you have been involved with. And that's become a pattern that could relate to some underlying wounds, right? And so if you start to address why maybe you have been avoiding going out and meeting people or spending time with people, if you've become like maybe more reclusive or solitary, or why you've been so quick to kind of cut relationships off really early, that's something that will give you clarity as to what some of your deeper wounds might be, or your fears or your struggles. And in that way you can kind of counteract that. So we'll get into these books here before we get one final card. So Samhain says, through veil wells thin this very night, protection place no need for fright. Chrome welcomes you and all you bring. Wisdom awaits, now look within. This magic is worked with harm to none, so moan it be, there it is done. You've been avoiding death. Change, that could be part of what this is about. And this! Oh my gosh, there's some avoidance energy here, group 3, and that's okay. We all go through it, right? Change is afoot, and you have been desperately clinging to your old self, all of which you know too well, for fear of losing your identity. You must understand that to die to the old... Oh, sorry. Wow, I was going through here, but I meant to look at foundation. We might have needed to hear that, though. Homeland calls you from afar to remember who you are. Foundation is the very key to understand more easily. This magic is worked with harm to none, so mote it be, there it is done. Remembering and acknowledging where you come from is the very foundation that a witch can build her strengths upon. When your roots are planted fully in the ground that you call home, the wisdom of the ancestors can be accessed and utilized. Homeland is beckoning you to take a long-awaited trip back home to visit and connect with the lands of your ancestors that they once walked upon. Allow past memories to surface, whether happy or sad, and tap into your feelings to discover who you really are and what makes you tick. You may have a yearning to travel to a distant land that you've never set foot upon. Past life connections are resurfacing right now, and it is important that you honor this calling. Place upon your altar some earth from your homeland, whether from this lifetime or another, so that you can connect with the very essence of who you are in the land that you walked upon long ago. Visit your childhood home. Honor any feelings you have about your past. Face up to and accept where you come from. Your past is catching up with you. A foreign land stirs something within you. Investigate your family tree. Look toward home for answers. Now we've got 26, the desirable. All actions begin with a desire for a particular thing to happen. Some quiet time in your sacred space can help you see the difference between what you desire and what others want you to desire. So yeah, are you looking in part for a relationship based upon what you think the expectation should be, or are you looking for this connection because it's truly what you want? Our desires can be both in our best interests and unreasonable. Many people sabotage their best interest because they find some of their desires strange, worrisome, or frightening. That also could be part of this 5 of Swords and the 3 of Cups in reverse. Most of our desires are truly ours, but some are the result of our having succumbed to the bombardment of the cultural conditioning we all experience. This same cultural conditioning is why we have trouble accepting our desires and ourselves in the first place. Work toward what you really want, because you are going to get it. When you get what you desire, your life is going to change in many ways, including ways that you cannot foresee. If you are working toward what you truly desire, then what comes with the territory you discover will not be anything you cannot handle. And look at that desire. Oh, well, obviously it's the desirable. The Amber. Life purpose. The answer to your question is bringing you closer and closer to your divine life purpose. Many humans feel a deep need to intertwine their purpose and their career. For some people that is possible, for others it is not. Your guides are asking you not to worry about money, finding the perfect job, or chasing success. This card signals that it is time for you to admit the truth to yourself about what you genuinely love to do in order to begin to move closer to finding and fulfilling your destiny. Your passions, though they seem not to coordinate well, are designed to correlate perfectly to form your purpose and path. At the core, your purpose on this earth is simply to be happy, babe. You have the ability to choose how you use your talents to find happiness in this life. Focus upon serving your own soul through joyful service to the world, and the rest will fall into place. I stand powerfully in my purpose and live in a purposeful, prosperous life. My divine purpose supports and sustains me in all ways. And that's, I think, a good point too, right? Like we talked about, when you are working on your foundation and your life purpose and doing things that you enjoy, that will bring you closer to this person. I do think for some of you, you're going to have a shared life purpose with a person like this. As long as you honor what your desires are and honor what is meaningful to you. Okay, and then we'll get a chakra card. Okay, that's too many. This is too many. Okay, you are worthy. Did I get this in the last one too? I don't know. I don't think so. This might have been in group 1. No, it's different. Okay, so we're going to look at what chakra this correlates with. The heart chakra, which is found in the center of the chest of the breastbone. In Sanskrit, it is known as Anahata, the unstruck, giving the impression that it is unbroken, untouched beauty in its purest form. Energetically, it governs our ability to love, be loved, give, and receive. On an elemental level, it is governed by the element of air, so represents the realm of the unseen, which can only be felt. The heart cards are about opening the gateway of the heart and creating a clear pathway to give and receive. They're about creating space by releasing any blockages that are standing between us and love. On a vibrational level, those cards are about unfurling our petals and revealing the beauty of our truest, most loving self to the world. So you are worthy. Valuing yourself has everything to do with raising your vibration. It helps you recognize that you are deserving of growth and learning. It reminds you that you are deserving of carving out a pathway to success in whatever way you see fit. The universe sees you as worthy because you are an extension of its greatness. Do you see yourself as worthy? Your capacity to create a sense of abundance is based on your capacity to believe how worthy you actually are. And didn't we just talk about how you might be cutting off people or like not defining what it is that you really want because you don't think you deserve it? We did talk about that. Today you are encouraged to see yourself in a loving way and know you are worthy. You are worthy because abundance is inherent in the universe and you are a facet of the universe. You are worthy because love is who you are. You are worthy because you are dedicated to walking the pathway of truth. You are worthy because authenticity is shining from the core of your being. Let the light of your soul fill up the cup of your being until you are overflown. The vibe of the day is, I offer myself the love I deserve. So when you are feeling anxious or depressed, or you are doubting that your desires are realistic or that you are able to get them, I want you to recite that to yourself, right? I offer myself the love I deserve. Use that as your mantra, group number 3. That's where I'm going to leave your reading. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you resonated with it, please let me know how in the comment section down below. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to be a part of the family and have not done so, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you know whenever I upload a new video. Bye.